KLEK 102.5 FM.
Welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. With me, your host, Quabila Hart. And for part 2 of today, we have Dr. Cherisse Jones Branch from Arkansas State University. We are wrapping up our Women's History Month, and I just want to shine some spotlight on Dr. Branch. Yes, she's been here before, but at that time she spoke about specific projects relating to the topic of that day, and she's talked about her role at Arkansas State University. She is a professor, Lord, in the history department, but women's history is one of her focuses. I apologize, I didn't write your exact title down. I shouldn't have it memorized right now. Okay. But today we're going to talk about her projects on Arkansas women. If you've heard anything that Dr. Branch has done, you've seen her, perform, you've listened to her readings, you've been to any of her speeches, her lectures, you know that she's very passionate about women in Arkansas and women in really big trip coming up, and I'm really excited to hear about this. So let's just jump right into it. So April 3rd through April 5th, she's going to be heading to East Sussex, England, to Plumpton College. She was invited by the British Agricultural History Society.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about that event.
Okay. I'm really excited about it. The way that happened was that I was giving a paper last year in New York City at the Agricultural History Society, again on Arkansas women, and two professors from England who teach the U.S. Civil Rights Movement at their institutions came up to me afterwards and said, "Oh my goodness, I've never heard about this before." Okay. And so we talked about the project for a while, and then when I got back, I got an invitation from the British Agricultural History Society to give a talk at their conference.
Okay.
So the conference is in a few days, and they said they always invite one guest from overseas, and this year I'm that guest.
That is an honor. That is wonderful.
I'm pretty excited about it. So
Okay.
I will be leaving Sunday night. I've got an overnight flight to London.
Okay.
And I will be giving my paper on that Tuesday.
On that Tuesday.
Yes.
So will you get to enjoy any of the city?
I probably won't spend a lot of time in London, but I've been to England before,
Okay.
so I've done London. What I'm really looking forward to is seeing some more of the English countryside.
Okay.
And so I'm really looking forward to going to East Sussex. Hopefully I'll have a chance to take a trip to Brighton.
Okay.
And that's a community that's on the ocean. So
wow.
I'm really looking forward to that, but I can't really think about that until
Okay.
after I give this paper.
Okay.
So I'm really nervous about that.
And the title of the paper is Training as Will Fit Them for Their Work. Tell us how you came up with that title. What does it entail?
Well, the paper is going to be about Jean's supervising industrial teachers in rural Jim Crow, Arkansas.
Okay.
And Jean's teachers were employed, well, they were paid through a fund, a $1 million endowment that
Okay.
was left by a Quaker woman from Pennsylvania in 1909. So this money paid African American teachers to help out teachers in schools in rural communities all throughout the South.
Okay.
So these Jean's teachers come down to the South, and the idea is for many of the school administrators, most of whom are white, they want them to be trained in basic skills, things that will allow them to be better agricultural laborers. This is not the kind of training that's designed for them to leave the community and go somewhere else.
Okay.
And so these teachers work in the South from about 1909 until 1968, but they're only in Arkansas until 1950.
Okay. Okay, so I hope someone's going to record, or is there already a recording of you doing this?
No, but I will try. I'm taking a graduate student with me, and this will
Okay.
be her first time out of the country. And so I'm going to give her my tablet, and
Okay.
hopefully she'll record it.
Please do. We would love to have bits and pieces to share, even on the air, on the radio station. Okay, so the next project is Arkansas Women, Their Lives and Times, which is this Athens?
Well, it's going to be published by the University of Georgia Press,
Okay.
which is in Athens, Georgia.
Okay, and this is coming out this year. Has it already come out?
No, hopefully, fingers crossed, and I'm claiming this. It will be out in the fall of 2017.
Okay.
But it's an edited collection of different authors who have written about different Arkansas women. So
Oh.
Native women, African American women, white women. Some Arkansas women we know about, like Daisy Bates, for example.
Yes.
An article will be in there about her. But others we don't know very much about at all. And that was kind of the point, to showcase the women who have done great things, who either lived in Arkansas, were born and raised in Arkansas, whatever, whom we don't tend to know a whole lot about.
I think it's very important that we start developing a sense of pride of who we are and the people that have lived here, worked here, who have poured into the lives of others to
Absolutely.
help bring them up. So we need to learn about where we come from.
Oh, absolutely. And the reason why I'm so incredibly passionate about Arkansas history is because every day, okay, not every day, every week, I find something new to write about. Now, I may not be able to write about it right then, but I stick it in a file somewhere and hope to come back to it, or I get a graduate student to write about it.
Wow. And for someone that is not from Arkansas, you seem to have, and I'm not trying to put anyone else down out there, I'm sorry, but from my experience, you seem to be more passionate about learning about Arkansas women than some people that actually live here.
Well, they don't know.
Okay.
They simply don't know. It's as simple as that. But also, you know, if I was in South Carolina, there are people who are not from South Carolina who've written a lot about South Carolina history. So that's not, that's not unusual. Sometimes when you're an outsider, you can see things that other people can't see. So it's not that they aren't interested. They just don't know to be interested.
Well, I hope that through your writings, people are becoming more inspired and having an awakening and say, okay, let me do a bit of digging and do a bit more research.
Sure. And people, again, and I've said this before, they tend not to know how many people moved to Arkansas and did great things, but also the people who've spent their entire lives here who've done great things. We just have to start asking people about their lives. And I also want to make another point about the Arkansas Women book. It is a co-edited collection, so I'm co-editing it with my colleague, Dr. Gary Edwards.
Okay. And please let us know when that book is available.
I will.
We definitely want to help promote that. We need everyone to start getting on. We need everyone to really start becoming more of a reader. I mean, TV is great for what it is, but reading is where you really get your wealth of knowledge.
Reading is fundamental.
Yes, ma'am. And I'm learning that this semester in school, but anyway.
I'm sure you are.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so the next item, Better Living by Their Own Bootstraps, Black Women's Activism in Arkansas. Now, I really want to read this. And this will be published by the University of Arkansas Press, which is in Fayetteville. And this chronicles 1915 through 1965. So let's talk about this one.
Sure. I'm still working on this one because the more I write, the more I find.
Okay.
And I'm going to have to stop at some point and just go ahead and publish it, but there's so much out there. But it really started as just a conference paper, and it just sort of took on a life of its own. So in it, I'm talking about Black women who live in rural Arkansas. Some live in Little Rock, some live in Fayetteville. But Black women who are members of the Arkansas Association of Colored Women. Black women who are home demonstration agents who were employed by the Arkansas Agricultural Extension Service. Black women who are involved in religious organizations. I mean, just when you really start digging into it, it will absolutely astound you to discover all of the things that these women are doing, not necessarily in big communities, but in small rural communities.
You know, just looking at the title, Better Living by Their Own Bootstraps, it's, as you were talking, I'm hearing the word entrepreneurship. Women that are creating their own businesses, or they're learning a skill. They're going to somewhere, they're learning a skill, but they're taking what they've learned to create a stream of income for themselves without being under someone else's time clock, being on someone else's time clock.
It's entrepreneurship to some extent. There's a lot of community building. Most of these women are very much invested in uplifting African American communities and particularly rural African American communities. So one of the things that people tend to talk about in history is how black people leave the South and go to the North or the West, wherever. I'm focusing on women who either moved to Arkansas for opportunities or those who never left.
Okay. And I would love to see a rebirth or growth, a spurt, whatever you want to call it, happen again in some of these rural communities. The lady who was here before you, she's from Blytheville, Osceola, up that way. I'm from further south, southeast, Mariana, and all those little communities. If we're not careful, they can't, I hate to say die out, but they're diminishing, some of them. And I would love to see like a rebirth, a regrowth, revitalization, I guess you can say. So it's time to start teaching this younger generation about what happened, who were some of the key players, and let's start doing some of this again.
Well, actually, a lot of this activism never stopped.
Okay.
So when you talk about a rebirth, I immediately thought about a meeting I went to down in Helena, Arkansas about a week or two ago with the Phillips County Teachers Committee.
Okay.
So this is an organization of former educators, most of whom are African American, and they have been celebrating teachers in Phillips County since 1944.
That's wonderful.
And just recently, and I do mean yesterday, I learned more, I should say, about a woman named Maddie White Woodbridge from Helena, Arkansas, who established the National Teachers Day.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and so, again, they're still talking about this. We just didn't know about it.
That is, my goodness.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe we need to start having more people have more conversations with each other.
Absolutely. So there are things happening in these communities because I've attended some of these meetings. It's just that the information often doesn't make it outside of these communities.
All right, so everybody, let's start having some conversations. Reach out to someone beyond your circle, your community. Let's start spreading this information. Okay, so the next one, is it Mamie or Mame Stewart Josenberg, Arkansas businesswomen, activist, and internationalist. Okay, so this was giving a talk at the Arkansas Historical Association annual conference in Pocahontas. This is going to be April 21st.
Yes, this is coming up.
Okay, so let's talk about this title.
Well, again, this is one of these things that started off as a conference paper. Full disclosure here, this is supposed to be a 10-page conference paper.
Oh, gosh.
It's now about 30 pages, so I'm going to have to cut a little bit back. But again, because I kept finding things about this woman, and so what I want to do eventually is publish this, but I gave it this title because this woman, and this is a really intriguing story, at least it is to me, this woman, Mame Stewart Josenberger, she is actually from upstate New York.
Okay.
And she grows up in New York. She leaves there and goes to school at Fisk University in Tennessee.
Okay.
And graduates in 1888 in the same class as W.E.B. Du Bois.
Wow.
And they kept up correspondence for years. Well, after she graduated, she moved to Fort Smith, Arkansas, and spent her entire life in Fort Smith, Arkansas, until she died in 1964.
Oh my goodness.
and she is a businesswoman because she marries a man named William Ernst Josenberger, who's a postal carrier, big deal for an African American at the turn of the century, and he's also an undertaker, which of course is a really good business because people are always going to die.
Yes.
But she's not only involved in the Arkansas Association of Club Women, she's also involved in the National Association of Club Women, and also the International Council of Women of the Darker Races. And so that's why I gave it this title, because she's an Arkansas businesswoman, because she takes over the business when her husband dies in 1909. She's an activist, and she's also involved in these international organizations.
It's really
and she
wonderful.
spends her entire adult life in Fort Smith, Arkansas.
That's amazing. A lot of great women, even though she's not from here, she made an impact and made her life here in Arkansas.
Absolutely. And let me also say, and I'm sure I've said this before, that 200,000 African Americans moved to Arkansas
200,000
between 1870 and I think about World War I. So it wasn't unusual for there to be African Americans coming to this state who spend their entire lives here. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right, so there's a lot of history to learn. You're tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, and we're speaking with Dr. Cherisse Jones Branch in honor of Women's History Month. We just want to highlight and put a spotlight on some of the work that she is doing. I mean, of course, there's no way we could ever talk about everything,
No.
but we just want to highlight a few things that she has going on right now. The next item, which is most recently published, is called African American Home Demonstration Agents in the Field and Rural Reform in Arkansas. And this is also chronicling 1914 to 1965. Now, does this one tie into Better Living by Their Own Bootstraps?
It's a part of it. Yes, this is just a chapter that I published in Women in Agriculture, Professionalizing Rural Life in North America and Europe, 1880 to 1965. So it's part of an edited collection with other authors from around the world.
Okay. And so, okay. Now, where this one is available, well, where is it available?
You can purchase it on Amazon. You can purchase it on the University of Iowa Press's website. That's who published it.
Okay.
And this is actually now available.
Now available. All right. So again, this is called African American Home Demonstration Agents in the Field and Rural Reform in Arkansas, 1914 to 1965. All righty. All right. So the next title, Working Slowly but Surely and Quietly. Okay. The Arkansas Council of the Association of Southern Women for the Prevention of Lynching, 1930 to 1941. And this is in Bullets and Fire, Lynching and Authority in Arkansas, 1840 to 1950. All right, so that's kind of a extended title.
It's a lot of title.
So
But it's
that
important.
whole, okay.
It's important. I can explain that if you
Please
like.
do.
Okay. Well, again, I love writing about things that no one else has talked about, but the Association of Southern Women for the Prevention of Lynching, and I'll just refer to it as the ASWPL. It's an organization that was started in the 1930s by Southern white women who said, you know, they reject the idea of lynching African American men to protect white women. So these are Southern women who reject this idea, and they formed this organization, and its headquarters was in Atlanta, but just about every southern state had a chapter of this organization.
Okay.
And so no one had ever written about the Arkansas chapter. So I'm writing about these southern white women who have considerable influence in their communities.
Okay.
And so they're talking to the sheriffs and the mayors and the deputies and all these other sort of folks, and they're saying that if you think someone has committed a crime, let this go through the proper process rather than allowing a mob of people to snatch this person out of jail and then lynch them.
Yes, okay.
Right? So, you know, again, I sort of frame this in terms of unknown civil rights activism.
Okay.
Right? These are the stories that we don't typically hear about.
You don't.
And there's at least one book that talks about this organization, but there's nothing in it about Arkansas.
Oh, wow.
There's nothing in it about Arkansas. So I just started digging and nosing around, and I said, okay, there's a story here.
Okay.
And one of the things that's really interesting about this story is that the woman who started this organization, and her name was Jessie Daniel Ames, she wanted to come and visit Arkansas to see the work that they were doing, but when she tried to come, and I think it was 1935 or something like that, there hadn't been any lynchings reported in Arkansas. And so
Okay.
she is quoted as saying, I will come back to Arkansas when there's a lynching, right? So I
Okay.
need to go to these other states where this kind of thing is happening more frequently, but it's not really happening that often in Arkansas. Now, the thing about that is it's not making it into the record necessarily. It doesn't mean that it's not happening.
Okay, so it's
yeah,
happening.
absolutely. So they are dealing with the cases that they know about.
Okay.
Yes, but it's very important work that they do, and very risky work. And it is an all-white organization. Black women could not be members of this organization.
Wow. Oh my goodness. So this will be a very interesting read. And is it available now?
It will be in the fall in this edited collection.
Okay. In the fall. So again, that title, and this is long, please bear with me. Working Slowly but Surely and Quietly, the Arkansas Council of the Association of Southern Women for the Prevention of Lynching from 1930 to 1941. In Bullets and Fire, Lynching and Authority in Arkansas, 1840 to 1950. And if you're interested in any of these titles, we will make sure to have them listed on Facebook, on our KLEK page, because we want you to get your hands on these articles and books and start educating yourself. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to discuss one other writing that Dr. Branch is involved with, so please don't go away. We'll be right back after these announcements.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. Is it time to consider investing online? Do-it-yourself investing is an attractive option for those who want to play a more active role in building their personal wealth. And there are plenty of options among online brokerages. To find the best approach for you, shop around to make sure you understand what your costs will be. If you are knowledgeable about investing, you could save money on trades and even avoid account minimums. However, if you want access to broker assistance and financial advice, it may be worth it to pay a little extra. Keep your money safe. Make sure any firm you are considering is a member of the Securities Investor Protection Corporation. Also, check their background with your state securities regulator for disciplinary actions. Finally, be realistic. It's a mistake to go into do-it-yourself investing with the get-rich-quick mindset. Your goal should be to build wealth over the long term, not to make a killing in the markets. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. for Money Matters, a product of American Urban Radio Networks.
Money Matters is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization dedicated to uncompromising commitment to communities, service, leadership, empowerment. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Money Matters is brought to you by Bancorp South, offering checking, savings, loans, credit cards, and wealth management. 5 locations in Jonesboro to serve you. www.bancorpsouth.com or 870-972-9800.
Celebrating Women's History Month on KLEK 102.5 FM. Here's your Women's History Moment with Dr. Cherisse Jones Branch.
This is Dr. Cherisse Jones Branch, and this is your Women's History Moment. Constance Baker Motley was born on September 4th, 1921 in New Haven, Connecticut. Her parents were Caribbean immigrants. She decided to become a lawyer when she was 15 years old. Motley became a maid after high school because her family could not afford to send her to college. After giving a speech in the local community, a wealthy white contractor, much impressed with her skills, paid for her college. Motley was first educated at Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee. In 1943, she transferred to New York University, where she graduated with a degree in economics. In 1944, she became the first black woman to be accepted into the Columbia Law School, where she met Thurgood Marshall, chief counsel for the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, and where she earned her degree in 1946. In that same year, she married real estate broker Joel Wilson Motley Jr. and had a son, Joel Wilson Motley III. Motley played a major role in the legal preparation for Brown versus the Board of Education in 1954 and was the first black woman to argue a case before the United States Supreme Court. In 1964, Motley became the first woman elected to the New York State Senate, and in 1966 became the first black woman appointed to the United States District Court.
House of Details, located at 3217 Herb Street, Suite C, is a proud supporter of KLEK, offering detailing on any type of vehicle: waxing, clear coat protection, basic wash, hand wash, shampoo, interior cleaning, buffering, headlight restoration, pickup, delivery, and more. With a motto of, anything mean, we can clean. Details available via Quentin Bogard at 870-273-5187. House of Details on Facebook and House of Details Jones.
Month by highlighting some of the works that she is involved in. Some of these are available now. I know I'm going through a long list of titles, and I will definitely make sure that these are available on our Facebook page. So if you need to pick up some extra reading material, you can't sleep at night, whatever your case may be, these will be some great reads, great things to have just on hand in your collection. Okay, we have another item on the list that we're going to talk about. It's called Being a Guinea Pig in This Race by, about Annie Ruth Zachary Pike, Arkansas homemaker, farmer, and politician and this is in the International Journal of Africana Studies.
It will be in 2000.
Okay, it will be. In the International Journal of Africana Studies, which is coming out 2018. So let's talk about this. Let's start with this title.
Well, okay. So Annie Ruth Zachary Pike, who is still alive, by the way,
Okay.
is a landowner, an African-American female landowner down in Phillips County, Arkansas. She was born and raised in Marble, Arkansas.
Oh, wow.
And
my neck of the woods.
Again, it was just one of these things that I stumbled on. I was really interested in it, and I started digging. And what I learned about this woman was that she went to a coeducational boarding school. It was called the Consolidated White River Academy, I believe it was. And it was down in Monroe County, Arkansas. Spent her entire life in Arkansas.
Okay.
She married a large landowner down in Phillips County, Arkansas. His name was Cleve Zachary, Grover Cleveland Zachary. So she married him. They had a few thousand acres of land. They were landowners, and they had sharecroppers working for them.
That's wonderful.
And Miss Annie became involved in home demonstration clubs. She also eventually was involved in politics.
Okay.
Right? She met Winthrop Rockefeller in 1966 when he was running for governor. And she, along with some other African Americans, basically canvassed the black community, getting people registered to vote.
Okay.
And when he won the governor's office, as a reward, he appointed her to the welfare office board.
Okay.
So she's the first African American woman, I believe, in the 20th century who was appointed to a board by an Arkansas governor.
That is really wonderful.
And she did all of this as a Republican.
As a Republican.
As a Republican. And then later on in the early 1970s, when the National Republican Convention met in Miami Beach, Florida, she was a part of the Arkansas Republican Party delegation. And she and another black woman who was named Willa Howard from Marianna, Arkansas.
Okay.
Yeah, she was a big farmer. Well, her husband was a farmer in Marianna, Arkansas. And here is the really big thing that caught my attention. In 1972 or 73, I believe it was, she was the first black woman to run a campaign for the Arkansas State Senate.
That is wonderful.
And she lost, but not by much.
So she was running for a senator seat.
Yeah.
That is really wonderful.
Yeah.
The fact that she was brave enough, confident, because at the time, I'm sure at the time she faced a lot of adversity.
But she was also an independent landowner.
Okay.
So she and her husband produced their own income. So she didn't, so there were things that she had to deal with, that's for sure, but she didn't have to worry about losing a job because she was her own employer.
So,
Yeah.
That is really wonderful.
But this woman from rural Arkansas, this small community, and she still owns about 1,000 acres of this land today.
In Phillips County.
In Phillips County, Marble, Arkansas.
And I'm from, like I said, I went to school in Marianna, but we lived out, we always say out in the country, in an area called Rondo, Arbery, and a lot of my family is from Marble, the Gill and Irby family. And it is really like, it's almost like a spot in the road, kind of, if you blink, you miss it type thing. It's really amazing to hear this history. I can't wait till this come out because I definitely need to get my hands on this.
This story about Miss Zachary is actually the last chapter in the book.
Okay.
And I actually gave a talk about her back in November 2016 at the Southern Historical Association annual meeting.
Okay.
And it was very well received. First of all, people are intrigued because it's Arkansas, and I'm talking about this rural black woman from this small community who does all of these wonderful things. I mean, she was friends with the Rockefellers. I mean, she knew all of these people. And she still lives in Marble, Arkansas, and she is just as active and spry as she ever was.
Wow. I can't thank you enough for like the energy, the effort, the hours that you put into all of your research. And I'm sure that everyone who has had an encounter with you, like I said, been to one of your lectures, your speeches, or anything, I know they have walked away with something. A young lady that went to my church, saw you at the high school, and she's like, yeah. She calls me Mama, her godmama. She's like, Mama, this like blah blah blah, and she started talking about things. She's like, she really got me interested to want to learn more about this and this. And I'm like, well, you need to go ASU, go talk to her, see what direction you need to take concerning your degree plan. So I'm hoping to send more young ladies your way. And again, to the men, the males out there listening, we're not trying to exclude you. March is Women's History Month, but women should be celebrated all year long.
Oh, absolutely. And more importantly, this is your history.
Yes.
Black, white, male, female, it doesn't matter. These are things that happen in your backyard.
Yes, ma'am.
So, learn more. If not for me, go find out for yourself.
So hopefully this has encouraged someone to go out there, pick up a book, pick up a newspaper, start Googling some things and learn a little bit more. This has been your today's version of Community Conversations. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Thank you so much, Dr. Cherisse Jones Branch.
I enjoyed it as always.
And we pray that you have safe travels to England and bring us back something.
Okay.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, a program focusing on the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5.